a great co-host. I'm so excited. And this is Jackie McDougall. And I put CEO of 40 Thrive.
I'll go with it.
Oh, yay!
Sharon, you could call me anything and I'd be like, yep, that's me.
So tell our friends who you are. Who is Jackie?
Who is Jackie? Oh my goodness. So I am the founder of 40 Thrive, which is an online community that connects women over 40 with the experts and resources they need. So I ask a lot of questions.
Wow.
And then I try to create content and programs and events around those needs.
What made you do that? What was that one idea? I just have to know.
Well, the funny thing is, it actually goes back, and this ties into your show. So when I was 3, my mom, you know this, but my mom died of breast cancer. She was 39. And so I lived my entire life never imagining I would turn 40, ever. Like, it wasn't an option. It was just, I don't know, somewhere programmed in my head that life ends at 39. And guess what? It didn't.
Yeah.
So at 40, I woke up and I'm kind of, it was a confusing time for me. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I was working in television and long hours, and I had, 3 kids, and I just felt like I was kind of going through the motions. And I thought, I'm going to do something really cool with this bonus time that I get and really try to inspire other women to not see 40 and beyond as just kind of something you exist through, but something where you can start new things, jump out of your comfort zone and like really live and thrive and not just survive.
That is so cool. I was just thinking about this the other day. My sister-in-law says this all the time, and I truly think it's true. As a woman, you don't get it till you're 40.
Yeah.
It's like the light turns on, and all of a sudden you're like, I got power.
Yeah,
I'm strong.
It's such an empowering time if you choose to use it in that way.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like you've been in the trenches and you can come out of it like, oh, I'm beaten up, I'm exhausted, I'm just going to lay low. Or you can use that experience to really kind of find yourself.
Right.
And that's what I love, seeing women who are doing incredible things. And not just after 40, but starting after 40. That's
Absolutely.
the key part.
But even the finding yourself, there's like no fear. It's something happens to you at 40, and it's so true. It's like you finally, the lights turned on and you totally get it, and there's like this no fear, and that's why, I don't know, there's just so much
You don't
happening.
care as much about what other people think.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we spend so much time worrying about that.
And as you said this, I started thinking about this. Turning 40 could even be a grieving experience. It could be,
Totally.
oh, wow, what just happened to me?
Yeah. And I think in some ways, and for some people it is, it's just like your programs, not staying in that.
Yeah.
It's completely normal to grieve what was once. And I even, I have, I do a little bit of coaching, and I teach them of like, stop, people talk about comparison, the thief of joy, right?
Yeah.
Comparing yourself to your life 10 years ago,
Yeah.
And who you aren't anymore. That's where I think people get a little caught up.
Well, and all the things you wanted to be better, different, or more, all the things I didn't get a chance to do. Why didn't I do this? I never finished college. Who would I be had I finished college? And did that really hold me back? It's like we start examining all of that stuff, right? I mean, we hear so much about men that go through it at 40. I feel like this is my personal experience, and it may not be true, but I feel like women go through it at 40, but because they're still evolving into the beauty that they should be or going to be or are.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is a huge generalization, so don't write in. Yeah. But men sometimes are like looking for that youth. They get the car.
Yeah.
That's the midlife crisis. But I find, at least in our group, 1,300 plus, it's all about finding purpose.
Yeah.
That's where the midlife crisis comes in.
Yeah.
What is my purpose? Where do I fit in the world?
100%.
And so if we can help other women find that purpose, then imagine, Sharon, what we could do.
We could dream. It could be so big. So I was going around constantly going, what is the mark that I'm going to leave on the world?
Mm-hmm.
What is that one mark that I'm going to leave on the world? Like, people want to, don't write into me either, want to, they want
no writing in unless it's nice.
They want to plant trees and they want to do all this stuff, which I think is all great. It's their thing. It's their thing, save that fish or whatever. But I was like, I want to leave this place better than I found it. I want to leave it different than I found it. And I honestly believe my nephew Austin gave me that. Austin gave me that, and he led me to grief recovery. And every time I help somebody with a broken heart, I know that I'm leaving this world in a better place, and I found it. And for the first time, I felt like I actually found why I'm here. I truly know why I'm here.
And it shows in you, because when you talk about the work that you do, it's like you can't help. I mean, you light up. And I think that, one thing that's beautiful is that your nephew, and, it's so tragic.
Yeah.
It's awful. And, you and I have connected
Yeah.
over this, and I've lost a niece and a nephew.
Yeah.
And, but when you find purpose and beauty out of tragedy,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just, it's because people trust you.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody who's everyone's felt pain, but somebody who hasn't been where you've been doing grief recovery,
Right.
people don't feel as trusting.
Yeah, exactly. And when we embark on this journey of grief, we've suddenly realized that we're not ready, or we're ill prepared to deal with it. And to having a guide to do that really makes a difference. Thank you so much for those kind words. Do you feel that 40 Thrive is your thing, or is it just opening the door for you?
I definitely, one thing that I used to do is try to understand what I was going to do before I even embarked on it. It's like the roadmap, and I can't take a first step. And one thing I've learned over 40 is I knew that I wanted to help women over 40 thrive and not just survive.
Yes.
But it's still evolving. If I were to say 5 years from now, this is exactly how it's going to look, I would just laugh at myself 5 years from now.
Right.
So that's the difference, is I know that this is where I'm meant to be, and this is my purpose.
Right.
But I can't say that I know exactly where it will go.
Right.
If that
Exactly.
makes any sense.
Exactly.
But I will tell you this, that, I have a child with autism, and I have a daughter who's adopted from, overseas, and I have a dad who passed away from Alzheimer's, and I have, the niece and so I have all of these experiences in my life that have made me who I am, and taught me how to be resilient, that I feel like I would be crazy not to use those experiences to try to help somebody else.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
It just feels like it gels with who I am.
It's like the definition of humankind. That's what it is. It's the definition of humankind. It's helping someone else through your own experiences.
Right.
Period. I just made that up, and that sounds amazing.
You'll be quoting yourself in memes in no time.
Oh my God, that's so good.
You're like, I'm brilliant.
So, what is 40 and surviving? Just surviving. What does that look like?
Well,
what would somebody think if they were in that?
It's one of those things that it's definitely a personal, where one person, when I left Massachusetts back in 1995, and I lived outside of Boston, and I moved away, and I remember at 23 years old, like, those people still live there. They're still doing their thing and going to their jobs, and I don't understand it. And, it was so judgmental.
Right.
And then I was, 10 years later, and I'm like,
Oh, I get it.
There are some people who are probably still there because out of fear.
Yeah.
But many of them are there because that's their path. That's where they want to be.
Yeah.
And so we may look at one person and say they're just surviving over 40, but they feel like they've got it all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's really, the most important thing is being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And knowing whether this is really, you've been working in the same job for 40 years.
Yeah.
Maybe you cannot wait that you're retiring in 5 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have been dying to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Or, travel, or whatever it is. But it's really getting honest with yourself and being able to take those first steps into thriving.
Yeah.
But it's a personal journey.
Great answer. That's totally a great answer. And so the thriving is when you take the first steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thriving.
And
It's
that,
whatever it is for you. So it's a personal
not living
journey.
in fear.
Yeah.
know?
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. What I love about what you're doing is that you have some amazing women that you've put together, in your group, in your tribe, and they're like everyone's all in there jumping in, getting in and putting their 2 cents in, and you're like, yeah, I get that. So Sunday you hosted an amazing event on Sunday.
You.
It was so
I'm
cool.
so glad you were there.
Oh my gosh, I almost didn't go, so I'm so glad that I went. So basically, it was a self-care Sunday. I'm calling it self-care Sunday.
Love it.
And it was. I tried to count, but there were over 100 women there.
There were, throughout the day,
Yes.
probably close.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I thought there were really over 100 women. There was a beautiful lunch, and it
Oh
was
my
just
goodness.
us.
Beautiful location in
Beautiful
LA.
location in LA. The weather was perfect.
So good.
And you had these amazing speakers that were just talking to each and every one of us. It was as if I had my chair set right in the front of the stage, and they were just sharing from their own personal experiences and their hearts. But the key and the topic was self-care. And that's what as I was sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, I got to have Jackie on my show. And self-care.
you.
So what is self-care? What is it to you?
Self-care, I think it's such a buzzword, and it's a hashtag on Instagram, and it's constantly, just like anything with social media, we get these buzzwords and everyone talks about it. But self-care, and Dr. Suzanne, one of my co-hosts, she's an incredible OBGYN from Beverly Hills, and we co-produced it together. But she talks about how mani-pedis are grooming.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's true. Because I would think I was doing self-care. Well, I got my manicure.
Right.
And you think you're doing your self-care. That's not self-care.
Right. I mean, that's self-care in a way that it makes you feel good.
Yes.
And that's great.
Yes.
But
It's part of it.
self-care is willing to get uncomfortable and do the things that will bring you joy in your life.
Yeah.
And I think even just things that you don't want to do, maybe like even working out is self-care.
Yeah.
Making time for yourself, meditation, going to the event on Sunday was self-care, because Sunday it's like, oh, I have all these things I have to get done. I can't
Laundry.
Yeah, I can't do it during the week,
Right.
and I never have enough time. That so many women were hesitant to give themselves that time. And I don't even know where that starts. Because when I was in my 20s, before I was married with kids, Sundays were like fun.
It was like totally, yeah, totally. But you know what happens is, I think the world is moving so fast and at such a fast pace, and we've put so much more on our plate that we've got to inch out every second that we can to get things done.
Right.
And the thought of taking a full day for ourselves,
Guilt.
It was like sinful, wasn't it?
It really was. But it was, I mean, how did you wake up? How did you feel when you woke up Monday versus how you felt the Monday prior?
Oh, totally.
It was a game changer.
Because the other one thing was, and I just wrote a note of this, is that I slowed down for a second, and I literally started to think for myself, what is the self-care that I'm requiring for myself? What is the self-care that I'm denying for myself? And one of the things that I did on Monday morning was I unplugged. You normally have that television on in the morning. You're getting ready. You're putting the makeup on. You're doing all that. I turned that off. I put on some calming music, and I literally took a bath before work on Monday morning.
How nice.
Can you believe that? And I literally sat for a second and just thought about what my day was going to be like, what my week was going to be like. But it was the best, and just thought about where I was headed. I took a minute. It didn't take that long. It was, 20 minutes?
But you show up differently.
I showed up differently.
And I don't know where it became two things, that like being busy was a badge of honor, where multitasking as women and moms, that it was like, oh, look at me. I have significance. I'm multitasking. Right. But in fact, there's nothing wrong with stopping and just being there for yourself. But it's like we started finding this whole martyrdom, where we're doing for others, for others. And I think, again, it goes back to that whole over 40. I mean, I still have relatively young kids, but I have no problem telling them, like, I need 30 minutes. Yeah. I joke. I say, I'm punching out for 30 minutes. They have no idea what punching in and punching out, but I'm like, I'm off the clock.
I'm on my 10-minute.
Yeah. Like, you can, if the house is burning down, come on and find me. But I'm just taking, taking a few minutes. And the hard part is to not take that 30 minutes and then sit on my phone.
Yeah.
Because how is that helpful?
Oh, yeah.
And I say that to my husband sometimes, like, when we take our break, it's to look at everybody else's lives instead of doing something for ourselves.
And then you feel worse about yourself because they look perfect because they're all on the beach with their glass of wine, and their feet are in the sand, and you're like, I'm in 10 feet of laundry, and you're over here doing this. One of the things that I realized on Sunday is that self-care isn't always pleasurable, and I mean this is what I mean, that it's not always about getting a massage or getting the mani-pedi. Sometimes the self-care is doing the tough stuff first because it has to be done.
Yes.
Sometimes it's re-examining your life for where it is. So what I realized is, this is so weird, and it's like the light bulb just went off for me. I cannot stand to leave my house when the house is in a mess. But a lot of times I'm running so behind that it puts me even more behind. Mm-hmm. So my self-care aha moment was, this is going to sound crazy, get up an hour or two earlier, Sharon, and just get it done.
Right.
That's self-care.
Yeah.
That was total self-care.
Because it prevents the anxiety
yes.
that you have when you see that messy kitchen
yes.
or whatever.
Well, you have to come back to that at night, you
yes.
know, if it's
yes.
a load of laundry or it's just a pile of mail
right.
or it's just something. So
Morning Sharon is putting in the time for
yes,
evening Sharon.
Exactly. And so that's self-care.
Yep.
Even if it's going to the gym.
Yep.
Even if it's truly just getting on the treadmill. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Creating boundaries is
getting
self-care
it out of the way.
with
creating
other people.
Boundaries is so
people
cool.
who expect you to be all things to all people all the
yeah.
time. No, thank you.
No.
Somebody asked me, and I can't even remember what it was, in a message the other day. Oh, can you do that? And I said, no, thank you. I left it at that, and I just braced myself because usually we have to come up with some reason that we're not doing it. No, thank
Abby
you.
Levine says she adds a little laugh after no.
Because she's British, she can pull that off.
She has a little laugh after. Hey guys, we're going to come back. Thank you so much for joining us for this amazing first segment. When we come back, we're going to be talking about self-care and getting ready for the holidays. Join us right back here after the break.
Your nails have amazing shine. What polish is that?
It's a gel manicure from Forever Nails and Spa.
What's a gel manicure?
It's a manicure that uses a special polish using a UV light. The polish has incredible shine and lasts for up to 14 days without chipping.
14 days? I've never heard of a polish lasting that long.
It's a great way to extend your manicure and save money on polish changes and touch-ups.
Located on the Old Road at Valencia Boulevard. Visit forevernailsandspa.com.
You've been assigned to plan your office party. Time to bring in the experts. AV Party Rentals is your go-to place for the most innovative holiday party ideas. AV's been planning Santa Clarita events from giant galas to intimate gatherings for longer than, well, since Rudolph was a young fawn. AV will turn your office party into a winter wonderland. See the latest holiday displays at Santa Clarita's favorite wedding, party, and holiday event rental store, AV Party Rentals on Newhall Avenue and at avpartyrental.com.
Your hometown station.
Our news team at KHTS is constantly working to keep you informed. If you want the latest and greatest information on the Santa Clarita Valley, just sign up for the KHTS newsletter. SCV News delivered directly to your email inbox every weekday by 5 p.m. and a special weekend edition on Sundays. All it takes is an email address and you're set. Go to hometownstation.com to register.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Hi, I'm Miles McNamara, Certified Senior Advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in Home Care. Our caregivers help you in your own home. A Comfort Keeper can provide companionship, meal preparation, medication monitoring, assistance with personal care, transportation to doctor appointments, all enhancing your independence and safety in the comfort and privacy of your own home. So if you or someone you love could use a helping hand at home, call Comfort Keepers at 287-4200. That's 287-4200.
What's the perfect way to end the weekend? Sunday brunch at Salt Creek Grill, of course. Wind down with delectable dishes off Salt Creek's award-winning menu and enjoy a glass of champagne, because after all, you deserve it. Make Sunday brunch at Salt Creek Grill a new tradition with your family and friends. Salt Creek Grill in Valencia on Town Center Drive in front of the movie theater. For reservations, 222-9999 or go online to saltcreekgrill.com.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Partly sunny today. We're looking at a high of 81. Clear tonight with a low of 55. Then Thursday and Friday, very windy with highs in the upper 70s. For anything and everything election related, go to hometownstation.com, including election results, or check us out on our Facebook page at KHTS Radio.
Your hometown station.
Hometown station. KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
Hey friends, welcome back. You're right here at KHTS, your hometown station. I am Sharon Brubaker, your advanced certified grief recovery specialist, and you are joining us right back here where we are talking with Jackie McDougall of 40 Thrive about self-care. And the thing that's so amazing about self-care is that it absolutely works. And the thing that's so amazing about it is it will work for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter what you decide to do for yourself that you consider self-care. And that's what we were talking about prior to the break. I brought the definition of self-care. Self-care is any activity that we do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health.
I love that.
Self-care is so important.
It's so clear because I think people are confused at what self-care is.
Self-care is also so important for the griever. I find that so many people that are grieving aren't doing their self-care. And I don't think they realize that it really goes together.
Right.
You know, which is really kind of cool. So one of the areas I want to talk about in self-care and grieving is getting ready for these holidays that are coming up. We know, and Jackie, you've experienced some losses in your life, and so you know what it's like. You become a member of a club that you had no intention of becoming a member of.
Right.
But we also know that there's these firsts that come up. The first Christmas, the first birthday, the first holiday. And it's every griever's dread. It's what I've been talking about every day with every one of my clients right now. But there's some things that we can do for ourselves to prepare for those things, to prepare for that event. And one of the things that I talk about is having a plan. Absolutely having a plan. Don't go into the holiday without a plan, right? Don't let it just sneak up on you. So plan who you're going to be around.
Right.
Don't you think that's a great idea?
And for how long?
And for how so perfect. That is
You
so
don't have to show
true.
up at 8 a.m. and stay there till 8 p.m.
And
if that's what you need is to be there from 3 to 5, be there from 3 to 5.
And you don't need your family hanging around all day. If you
No.
tell them, I'm going to have a family party because I want to be with you guys, and it's going to be from 3 to 5, let them know. It's so important for the griever. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. It's so important for the griever to let everyone know what they want and also let people know what they don't want.
Right. I've seen it with not only death in the family, but like you were saying before, divorce or any other loss.
Yes.
I have a friend who was going through a divorce and she couldn't come for Christmas Eve, which is like, that's my thing.
Yeah.
You know, Christmas Eve. She said, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to a spa. And, you know, inside, I'm like, no, but no, it's Christmas. No. And then I realized this is the first time. Like, she's not going to have her kids.
Yeah.
She needs to go through it the way that best works for her.
Right.
And if that means going to the spa, it was all, I mean, of course I love her and adore her and wanted her with us, but it is not up to us or, you know, to determine how someone else should spend or go through their grief.
Absolutely. I think the other thing that's happened to me through going through the grief is realizing that, don't send me a letter again. Excuse me, I've been this way for years, but like putting up the tree and all that is not the most important thing to me anymore. The most important thing to me now is the family.
Right.
We start to realize that what's really important to me is being with the family and spending that time together and literally just hanging out and being together as opposed to making sure everybody has their gift and getting all the red ribbons up and doing all of that.
Right.
It becomes a different thing after a loss, right?
And I agree whether you are suffering through a loss or not.
Yes.
Depression and anxiety and suicide,
Yes.
you know, during the holidays, the expectations, and I'm not saying that the holidays are creating that. So,
No.
But I'm just saying that it exacerbates what's already happening.
Yes.
And so people are, you know, you're absolutely right. If people are suffering financially.
Yes.
To expect that they're going to spend all of their money on this and then they feel less than, or, you know, they don't, I mean, you know what it is, all the responsibilities that we feel we have to do.
We have to do because everyone's looking at us and we have to do what everyone says we're doing.
Right. And that's where self-care comes in, whether you're grieving or not.
Exactly. Now, also, one of the things that happens at this holiday time is that we're expected to be happy whether we're happy or not.
Right.
Right? We're supposed to show up, be happy. It's the happiest time of the year, right? You know, red noses and all that stuff. But what happens when we're not?
Right.
right?
And then we feel alone because nobody's admitting
Yes.
that it's actually a more difficult time of the year.
Yeah. And that's the truth that we need to be telling. We tell the truth about ourselves always, and that's the truth we need to be telling.
Right.
For sure. If you have a Thanksgiving coming up in a couple of weeks, and you absolutely have experienced your first loss, or it's the second year or the third year, and you are just dreading this, there's a lot of things that we can do as self-care just around that day.
Right.
One, for sure, setting the time with the family, letting them know, don't go.
Right.
If it's not in your heart and you want to spend the day at the spa, that's self-care.
Right.
Take care of yourself. Then don't go. And be okay with the decision that you've made, right? Another thing is making sure that your loved one's favorite dish is there. You know, if their favorite dish was that pumpkin pie or that German chocolate cake, make sure it's there. And it can be even understated, Jackie. Like, you can literally just have the German chocolate cake right there.
Right.
You don't have to go, this is Uncle Tony's favorite chocolate cake. You can just have it. Everyone's going to know when they see it. They're going to know what's going on. A lot of times I've heard people say that they'll leave the chair empty for their loved one. I did something totally crazy. My dad passed away 5 years ago. And that first year without him, Thanksgiving was his favorite holiday. So I hid Nerf guns all over my house. I absolutely did. I bought 500 Nerf bullets. And right after dinner, it was the most boring Thanksgiving. We had dinner. Everybody was like, right? It was so boring. And I picked up a Nerf gun and shot it. And everyone was like, what? And then they start running around looking for the Nerf. We had a 2-hour Nerf war.
That is amazing.
It was so much fun.
That is so amazing.
But my point was I had a plan. And tears were running down my eyes. And we were running around. And bullets were going past my head. And I absolutely missed him. But I had a plan. I went into the day with a plan.
That's awesome.
I think that's self-care.
Yeah. But I think, it's important not to isolate. Yes, you may need a little bit of time, but don't isolate your entire
100%
yourself, because it's, I love that you honored your dad by having a good time.
Yes.
And you probably spiced things up because it sounded really boring.
Now every time they come over, everyone's expecting the Nerf war, but you can't reproduce that first time with the shock and the awe. I can't reproduce it, but I had the plan there, and it was there, and everyone has to decide what the plan is for them.
Yes. And the location too, because, if it was always at that person's house, and then obviously they're not, it's okay to go to a restaurant.
Yes, it is absolutely okay to go to a restaurant. And there are quite a few restaurants that absolutely do beautiful Thanksgiving buffets and Thanksgiving meals. And it's okay to do that. I think most importantly, wouldn't you agree that we have to be okay with the new normal, the new plan, the new decisions?
Yeah, I think when you're in it, it can be, especially that first, it can be extremely difficult. But when you're the support for somebody who's in it, I think you can help them find a new normal.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And you and I have both been in the support position. So as people that have been in the support position, and what I mean by that is I'm the sister that had 2 nephews died. You're the aunt. You are also the aunt that had a niece and a nephew die.
Right.
So we were supporting our family.
Yes.
Sometimes what we do is we negate our own grief because we're so busy trying to be strong. We need to have our own plan as well. That's part of our self-care.
Right.
It would be a great idea. What I did on the morning, I did wake up and I wrote a letter to my dad. Do you know what I mean? And just said, hey, this is where we're at. It's 1 year. My dad's favorite holiday was Thanksgiving, and so to make things perfect, he died on Thanksgiving. So, 5 years ago, that just seems like his personality, though. And so that morning when I got up, I actually wrote a letter to him, and that was just a little bit for myself,
right?
Which is kind of cool that, you and I have to think about also taking care of ourselves, because we can't be strong enough for our families to carry them across the finish line.
Right.
Right.
Right. And sometimes, being type A women, we want to fix everything.
Yes.
We want everyone to be okay. And sometimes it's just being there.
Yeah.
And, being around them, or my family lives across the country.
Yeah.
Sending a message that just says, I love you.
I love you.
And not, I know today's hard. I know, you know, sometimes it can be overkill.
Yes.
You know, with the, you just want to love and let them know that you're thinking of them, but they don't always want that spotlight.
I agree.
You know, on the day.
I agree. Hey, I'm here. I'm thinking of you. Definitely going there. One of the things that we did in the past was that we shared on Thanksgiving were our thoughts about Donovan and Austin, you know, just like how much we were all missing them. So we all sat around. It was after Donovan had passed away, and we sat around and we all just kind of shared. And some of it was about Austin, some of it was about Donovan, but also what we were thankful for about having them on our journey. And it was kind of cool because it was funny and tearful and joyous, but we got to like bring them to the celebration. Right. So I thought that was really cool. There's so many ways that we can come up with self-care ways for the holidays, right? Mm-hmm. That can help us through just having that awkward moment or that first painful holiday.
Right. But I think sometimes we try to avoid pain, and it actually just elongates like the time.
Absolutely.
You know, instead of just leaning into it, embracing the fact that it's hard and acknowledge that and move through it.
Yes. And I'm so glad you said leaning into it, because leaning into it is one of the ways that I absolutely teach in grief recovery. And I actually tell all of my clients that it's actually a physical movement. You literally need to lean forward a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, you literally need to lean forward just a little bit, and you need to feel it. You absolutely need to. Let's lean into it. But leaning into it means I feel it. Is it here in my heart or is it here in my head? See where it's at.
Right.
What is it? It's okay. It's absolutely okay to feel the pain a little bit for a second and sit with it for a minute. It's okay. It's not going to take us out right then and there. Sometimes we just need to lean into it and feel it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that. One of the things that I've also talked about as far as self-care and for the holidays is, what about adopting a family? You and I were talking about people that are less fortunate.
I always think when you are feeling desperate or overwhelmed that giving back is the way to go.
Yeah.
So whether you are in a financial position to spoil another family or give them the basic needs that, you know, or provide them a meal or whatever it is, or it's just canned goods, you know.
Yeah.
I think that giving back and seeing others who are also struggling, maybe even more so in physical ways, is definitely a way to kind of get out of your own stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even inviting strangers into your home, like having people that don't have
brave.
somewhere else to go. You know, I feel like every year for Thanksgiving, we end up with people that, so-and-so, he didn't have anybody. Can you come on over?
So somebody at the house knows
I
them.
don't mean stranger. Yeah. Oh, no,
hey,
I'd
there's
be
a guy
really
walking
brave.
down the street.
Should I do that? No, I'm not that brave. Yeah, but like really just having people that you didn't know, or, you know, they're sitting at your table. That's what a Thanksgiving table is all about, is having a bunch of people that didn't have anywhere else to go, and they end up at your table.
I love those holidays when somebody is like, oh, can I bring a relative who's in town or whatever, because you just... the conversation is different, and you get to know a new person, and it just changes the whole dynamic.
Exactly.
You know,
and they
fun.
start looking at, it's so cool to experience someone else's Thanksgiving. You know, we always made this, or we did it this way, or my family did this as our tradition, and having that to share for that day is always so cool.
Right.
So there is so much about self-care that we have to do, but we have to get the plan, we have to get prepared, and we have to get ready for it.
Right.
We can't just let the day hit us and surprise us, because we're going to be in a lot more pain than we originally had planned, you know, and that will be a lot, definitely torture.
You know, I've spent a few holidays in the past, you know, obviously from moving from Massachusetts, you know, by myself or without my family. And sometimes the idea of the day is worse than the actual day.
Yeah.
So the build up,
Yeah.
It's going to be this huge day, and everyone is so happy, and their family and love and all of that. And then you feel like you're the only one missing out. First of all, back then I would try to remind myself of how many people were actually not happy around the family that they had to be around.
Right.
But, you know, just get through that day, like minute by minute, hour by hour.
Yeah.
Know that it's really not any different from the day before.
Yes.
It's not, I don't know why it is that we do that. We make everything so big and special, like it's supposed to be this Norman Rockwell painting.
Yes.
Or like, it's not. And
it's
not
worse
for a lot
now
of people.
with social media.
Absolutely. And so people who are even, all their family intact and they're there, there's a good chance they're looking at their phones. Why do you think their post is on Facebook? They're not spending time together. They're not having the most incredible, like holding hands, singing Kumbaya. They're on their phones.
They're all in their
They're playing
each in their
Candy
corner.
Crush.
They're each in their corner.
Right. So, or watching football, or drinking too much, or trying to avoid something in their life in some way.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying when you compare yourself and where you are to what other people are, that you've decided that they're doing, it's not always accurate, and it can actually be a detriment to your well-being.
Yeah. And that leads me into this. I'm not just speaking to grievers, right? There are people out there that absolutely hate the holidays. They hate being around their family. They hate the same tradition. They hate doing the same thing over and over again. They hate experiencing that Thanksgiving that you just described. They're like, oh gosh, I got to do this again.
Right.
Do some self-care.
Yeah.
Rock it up. Shake it up. Buy some Nerf guns.
But the same note, to let them know when you'll be there, how long you'll be there, set up those boundaries in advance.
Yeah.
So that way you can then maybe spend the rest of the day with friends having dessert.
Exactly.
Or going for a hike in the morning.
Yes,
it doesn't have to be from top to bottom with the people that you don't necessarily want to be around.
And just change it up, because that is where your heart is going to be a little bit happier. And even if you're the one that always brings the turkey, you just be like, no, I'm bringing the ham this year. I mean, it's so strange that you would say that.
The world won't end.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is it's such a simple thought, but it makes a huge difference. Me turning that television off on Monday and absolutely taking that bath and taking out that half an hour, that 20 minutes, made a huge difference for my week.
Right.
It energized my whole entire week. Whereas what is changing one thing going to do for your life as far as the holidays come?
Right.
And I think I have to say, because I really have to reach out. I've spoken to so many grievers, and they are dreading coming up on Thursday in 2 weeks. And I'm here for you, and I'm sending you good energy. We're just trying to throw out there some good ideas that will help you so that you're not sitting alone at home in the dark. Don't do that. We don't have to do it.
Right. Go to a movie.
Go to a movie. Yeah.
Right.
Take a walk.
Yeah.
Take a walk. Make a video. Pull out some old pictures of family and friends and take a look at them, right? Enjoy that time together.
Right.
Have a drink, do a toast. I mean, I can just go on. We can go on and on. Make your favorite dessert.
Right.
It doesn't even have to go with the holiday.
There are a lot of people who are grieving maybe the loss of, like, after a divorce, or their children have left empty nest, or I know you have the whole list of the first time I spoke to you and you were telling me some of these ways that people grieve, I'm like, this is brilliant, you know. So I love that you're including not just those who have lost someone through death, but in all these different ways that they're grieving.
We have to get the word out there that grief is so many different things, and it's not just death. And so many of us are grieving, and our hearts are absolutely broken, and we just don't know what our next step is going to be. Right. But this is the beginning step of that process of thriving through it.
Right. It's not a straight line.
There? Yeah, it's not a straight line.
Right.
Hey, friends, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some thought downloads and really having some great ideas. Quick finish up this amazing show. Thank you. See you right back here after the break.
Daily Imprints is the premier one-stop shop for custom embroidery, screen printing, and promotional products in the Santa Clarita Valley. Owners Joe and Dana have provided KHTS with quality embroidered company shirts for over 3 years. If it's new business cards or promotional products you need to enhance your image, Daily Imprints is the choice for you. Located on Lyons Avenue, stop by or call today, 661-678-0508. Aloha, friends! Go check out Honu Coffee, home of the best cold brew coffee. What makes their coffee special is how their organic coffee beans are infused with nitrogen to create a smooth and delicious cup of coffee. You'll also find traditional bold coffees and island-inspired signature drinks. They're the perfect place to catch up with friends or just relax with your favorite cup of joe. Honu Coffee on Lyons and Walnut in Newhall. Stop by and say aloha.
Are you ready for some football? Consumers Furniture is. Come on in and check out our huge selection of Power Motion furniture. We have the largest selection of reclining sectionals, sofas, love seats, and recliners in the Santa Clarita Valley. Fabric or leather, Consumers has the right piece at the right price to make your home ready for all the big games. Need it for this Saturday or Sunday? No problem. Consumers has same-day or next-day delivery on most of our items. Consumers Furniture is located in the Center Point Shopping Center right below Sam's Club and Walmart.
Hometown. KHTS breaking news.
This is Shane Cutchell with the latest election updates for our valley. 100% of the precincts have been counted. However, results will not be final until the mail-in ballots have been counted. No local winners have been declared so far. Katie Hill leads Steve Knight 51% to 48% in the 25th Congressional District. Incumbent Dante Acosta leads Christy Smith 50% to 49% in the 38th Assembly District. Tom Lackey leads Steve Fox 53% to 46% in the 36th Assembly District. Incumbent Santa Clarita City Council members Lorene West, Marcia McLean, and Bill Miranda lead the voting for City Council with Diane Troutman and Ken Dean right behind. Incumbent Dianne Feinstein has been declared for the U.S. Senate seat, and Democrat Gavin Newsom won the race for California governor. No on Prop 6, repeal state gas tax. Yes on Prop 7, permanent daylight saving time. And for more information on the rest of the props and election results, head to hometownstation.com.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Partly sunny today. We're looking at a high of 81. Clear tonight with a low of 55. Then Thursday and Friday, very windy with highs in the upper 70s. For anything and everything election related, go to hometownstation.com, including election results, or check us out on our Facebook page at KHTS Radio.
Your hometown station.
Your hometown station.
KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
Hey friends, welcome back. You are right here at KHTS, your hometown station, and I am Sharon Brubaker, your advanced certified grief recovery specialist, with an amazing co-host, Jackie McDougall from 40 Thrive, and today we're talking about self-care. And we only have a few minutes, and I was going to go into thoughts, but I think that's the show I'll bring you back for. I thought we'd go over this fun list instead.
Okay, great.
Just some tips on ideas for self-care, which we've been really talking about. If you guys weren't here at the beginning of the show, self-care is any activity that we can do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. We've been tying that self-care back to preparing for the holidays, especially after a loss, or for anyone who's lonely or is not sure what to do. But I have this great list, and I thought we'd go over it. And one of them is to just breathe.
Isn't that the most underrated thing that you've ever heard?
Can you believe we're having to tell people that?
But it's amazing because I always remember to inhale. I just forget the exhale sometimes. And I think that's most of us. We're so, and then we're in this space of holding our breath and breathing. I learned this at the event on Sunday. Meditation.
Yes.
Taking just 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes.
To breathe.
What about just... And the other thing is, I've been in meditations where, they're like, go to the bottom of your feet and go all the way up. But you literally could just listen to your breath for even just 1 minute. Close your eyes and just breathe deliberately. Take it in and exhale it and just enjoy it. It's so powerful.
I want to growing up in the 70s and 80s, I want to go like, meditation, stupid, but it's so helpful.
It's so helpful.
For all people. It's
everyone.
Not like, you don't have to be that yoga, master person. You just can be in your car waiting for the kids to get out of school and take 2 minutes to breathe. It is unbelievable, the benefits.
I don't know about you, but I've hit the ground running this morning, and I've been running all day. And sitting 5 minutes with a breathing technique would be amazing right now in the middle of the day.
But not in the middle of a show, because that would be bad radio.
And I would be afraid that I'd take a nap right now, so I wouldn't do that. Take a walk. Just take a walk.
Right. And some people say walking is sort of a form of meditation.
Yes.
Just that, the rhythm. And,
yes. And really looking at the trees. It's really looking at what's around you. Looking at the sky, that's my favorite thing to do in the world. And it's not uncommon for me to pull out my phone and take a picture of that because I want to remember that. I want to remember that moment. But something I've been doing here recently is I'll take a minute and take it in.
Right.
Take it in.
It's so much more powerful than the picture.
Yeah.
The picture later, you're like, what is this of?
Yeah.
It's never...
Yeah.
Because you can't capture that moment.
But just taking it like, I have to enjoy this right now. Or if I'm driving and I see the mountains are really beautiful, I like really just try to take it in, even for that second, and be grateful for it.
Yes.
And then I say how amazing it is and how grateful I am to have that.
I love that. Gratitude for me, just in the past couple of years, I've really leaned into the whole gratitude thing because it's changed my life.
Absolutely.
Seeing what I have versus what I have not. I grew up, I don't know about you, but like if you got 9 things right and 1 thing wrong in your life, you'd be focused on that 10 things.
Exactly.
And, as with gratitude, it's like it turns everything that you have into all you need.
And gratitude is a form of self-care. I think it's one of the most important forms of self-care that you can do. I have a little tip. I have been turning off my radio in my car recently because there's so much static, and that car is that one place for me that I can just have that moment, and that's where I have the most of my gratitude. It's mostly in the morning. I turn the radio off, and I just go into my moments of gratitude and just go through my head. And even as I'm driving down the street, just what I'm seeing, what I'm thankful for. And my grandson jumped in the car the other day, and he was like, "Granny, who was in your car?" And I said, "I don't know, buddy, why?" And he's like, "The radio's on." He's like used to like not having the radio on now as well, because that's when he and I talk. But that's that moment for me.
I love that. That's such a great tip.
When you're driving, just turn it off
because
for a second.
We're always trying to fill our brain space. Like it's like we have to have the radio or a podcast on. We have to be listening. We have to be doing. We don't just sit. No one's bored anymore.
No one's bored anymore. Well, because it's like. As soon as we're done, we pick up that phone and we look to see what everyone. What's my friend's doing? Oh my gosh, where'd she buy? Where'd she go? How about go away for the weekend?
That sounds nice.
Isn't that nice?
Yes,
it's so nice. It really just. You know what my husband and I did a few months ago? We did a staycation.
You did?
We didn't tell anybody, and we stayed at home. And it was amazing. I made breakfast on Saturday and Sunday, and we just like hung out in our robes. And we just had a great time.
Wow.
And nobody knew about it. So
that's
you don't have to spend money. You could just literally hang out together.
Right.
You can hang out together.
That's a great idea.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you
so much for being my guest. Thank you so much for meeting my friends and sharing your amazing 40 Thrive with them. This has been so much fun. You have to come back.
I would love to.
We're going to talk about thoughts and gratitude. We're going to do another show on that.
Well, and thank you for everything. I mean, you are doing so much amazing work.
Thank you.
Many people letting you know. I know that, but a lot more people who aren't necessarily reaching out. And so you have no idea how wide your expertise and your brilliance goes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad that you and I got to be on this journey together.
Me too.
How cool is that?
Me too.
All right, friends. I'll see you back here next week, Wednesday at 1:00. Thank you.